Hey fellas, me and my boy was watching Joseph. Yeah, there's so many movies, and I decided to start digging in the scriptures. And I started digging in, and I realized it was a dysfunctional family. And I'm going to label this dysfunctional family. And before I can tell you about Joseph, I got to tell you about his dad and his granddad and how things happened then affected Joseph. A lot of it wasn't even his own fault. Okay. So Isaac had two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was a manly man, a hunter, a man of the field. He was wild, restless. He was masculine, hairy. Ladies and young men, there's nothing wrong with a masculine man. God made us men this way. Embrace it. It's awesome having a beard and getting muscles and all that good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Jacob was a plain man. He dwelled in tents. He was domestic. Was he a mama's boy? I don't know. So he learned different things. Genesis chapter 25, verse 28. Isaac loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. You see, there's a problem starting. So we know Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. And what we see today, don't sell your birthright. Okay? And so he had to flee, go to a foreign land, and he wants to marry this one particular woman, and his father-in-law gives him a different woman, and he has to work another 7 years, 14 total, to finally get the woman he wants. Right? It's all messed up. So in Genesis chapter 29:30, Jacob has two wives, right? Rachel and Leah. It says Jacob had loved Rachel more than Leah. You right? You seeing this repeat? And Leah knows. She knew. I mean, it's self-evident and obvious. She knew. Genesis 29:31. The Lord saw that Leah was hated. He opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So now Rachel sees this other wife having all these sons, and she has none, and she envied her. Genesis chapter 30, verse 22 through 24. Then it says, God remembered Rachel, and God hearkened to her. So Rachel was praying with petitions and everything for her son. And God heard her prayers, and he opened her womb and gave birth to a son named Joseph. They named him Joseph. So let's recap. Rachel was special in Jacob's eyes. He loved her more. And after all this time, she being barren, she finally has a son. And that son is special to him more than the others. So basically, he was kind of like a miracle child, treated like the golden boy, you know. And the other brothers from the other wife, they noticed. Especially when they had a coat of many colors. Especially when he got to stay in a tent like Jacob had to stay in a tent and learn the things of his father. And while the other brothers had to go work in the field in the heat of the day. And so there was conflict. So Jacob was loved more than the others. And his brothers couldn't speak peaceable to him. His brothers hated him yet more. Hated him more for his dreams and his words, and they envied him. You see how this is continuing? Repeating from one generation to another. And they conspired against him to slay him. But they didn't slay him. They sold him. And they profited off of him. So, a lot of things is going on in Joseph's life. A lot of it's not even his fault. But Genesis chapter 39. So when Joseph was sold to Potiphar, the scripture says in verse 2, and the Lord was with Joseph. Joseph got cast in jail for a crime he didn't commit. In verse 21, it says, but the Lord was with Joseph. And the jailer favored Joseph in verse 23, and you see, because the Lord was with him. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what you've been through. The Lord is still watching out for you. The Lord is not through with you yet. Whew. People, I can tell you, I was a paratrooper in the infantry, in the 82nd Airborne Division. Mini jumps, mostly at night. I can tell you that my last two, I pulled my reserve chute. I can tell you I've been an aircraft lightning struck the wing, and I can tell you story after story. I can tell you I've been down snowboarding, down slopes I should have never been down. I can tell you I got hit by an 18-wheeler and walked out without a scratch when I hit my Mustang. I can tell you when I was 8 or 9, I was in a coma for 3 days, and doctors just didn't know if I was going to wake up. I can tell you that I should be dead or in prison somewhere. Actually, I should be in hell. But I'm not. And I look back and I realize God was with me the whole time. So I don't look down on somebody who's been to prison, because if I got caught for some of the things I've done, I should be there too. So maybe you're in a dysfunctional family. Maybe you're the black sheep. Maybe one loved one more than the other. Maybe you had a child out of wedlock. I did. Maybe you got a bunch of broken relationships with children from these relationships. I did. Maybe you, whatever you've been through, I'm going to tell you, God's not done with you yet. You know, I believe in Romans 8:28, where God can take an ugly thing and make something good and beautiful out of it. And he's done that multiple times in my life. He's blessed me where I tell you I don't deserve it. Not at all. I want to tell you there's hope. There's hope. Seek God now while you can be found. And he can pull you out whatever mess you're in. You might have to go through some of it. But he'll be with you, just like he was with Joseph. The scripture says he's respected no person. So if he done that for him, he'll do it for you. He done it for me, he'll do it for you. So I want to tell you I love you. I want to tell you now I'm a man, many kids. And the Lord's blessed me with a wife. I had a broken relationships, and God's blessed me. I don't know why. And he's really good. So call out to him. Get on your hands and your face and be like Rachel, you know. Pray out to God. Pray. Ask for forgiveness. Ask for help. Stay in his word. Pray a lot more. Daily. Turn that other stuff off. And watch him move. I do love you. And please keep up the faith. And there's hope.